Hi, so I thought that I would make a couple sewing video tutorials for some simple projects that people might be interested in making. That would be really good for beginner sewers or just anybody who wants to make a quick, simple, fun project. So today we're going to make a headband with one pattern piece. It's so simple. This is the pattern rubric, and if anybody wants it, I will be happy to send it to you. Just let me know. I'll supply you with the link. And you need interfacing. I think the interfacing that works best for this is a fusible, lightweight interfacing. You can iron it to stick to your fabric, so you don't have to sew it to your fabric. So it kind of eliminates that step. And you need any kind of fabric that you want. I'm going to use a Star Wars print today. And you need 5.5 inches of elastic. That will be the back of your headband. That makes it adjustable and easy to get on and off. You need your scissors, of course, and pins. And I have mine in my little pumpkin pin cushion over there. So I'm going to cut out this fabric, and then I will show you the next step. So for this project, you'll need about a quarter of a yard of whatever fabric that you'd like to use, and I think cottons work really well for this project. You probably won't even honestly need a whole quarter of a yard, because as you can see, the headband is very thin. It's only about 3 inches wide, and this is a really good project for scraps of fabric that you might have around. So let's say you need about a quarter of a yard, probably less. And the same for the interfacing. I've already cut out the interfacing, so I'm going to cut out the headband on the cotton print, and the fold of the headband should go on the fold of the fabric. I have this fabric doubled so that I will cut out 2 pieces of the print at the same time. You can do one at a time if you'd like to. This is just a time saver. So I folded the fabric, I doubled it, and you put the fold on the fold of the fabric so that when you open it up, it's the one whole headband piece. And I'm going to cut it out now. So when you have all your pieces cut out, you should have 3 pieces total. You should have 2 of the print and 1 interfacing piece. I know it's a little hard to see because it's translucent, but it's here. Those are the 3 pieces you'll need for this project, along with your 1/2 inch elastic that is 5.5 inches long. Those are your pieces. Okay, so this step might seem a little bit extra, but I highly recommend it. When you have your pieces, it's really important to iron them. Make sure all the wrinkles are out. And like I said, this might seem like a little gratuitous and not that important, but a lot of times, especially cotton fabric, has wrinkles in it. And if you don't press it beforehand, your fabric can end up being longer or shorter than you needed it to be, and your seam allowances won't line up, and it will just be kind of yucky looking by the end. So press your pieces, make sure they're nice and flat, all your wrinkles are gone. It will look much nicer when your project is finished. And then what you want to do, I'm going to switch hands with my camera, is take your interfacing. If you feel the interfacing and you're not familiar with interfacing, you haven't worked with it before, the fusible kind, one side is smooth and the other side feels a little bit rough. It feels like it almost has little ridges on it. You want to take the ridges side and place it face down on your right side of your fabric. I'm sorry, the wrong side of your fabric. Both of these pieces are, you're seeing the wrong side right now. This is the right side, it's brighter. You want the wrong side face up. So you're going to take the ridges side of the interfacing and place it on top of the wrong side of just one side of your headband. And I'm going to put the phone down so I can iron it. But what you're going to do is iron it to your fabric. It's going to stick to it. If you do end up accidentally putting the interfacing on the right side up with the ridges side up, it's going to stick to your iron and it's going to be really gross. And I have done it many times. So try not to do that, because you'll ruin your piece of interfacing. You also have to end up cleaning your iron off because it'll be covered in glue. You want the glue to face the fabric so it will fuse to the fabric when you iron it, which I'm going to do right now. So once your pieces are ironed, and your interfacing is stuck to your fabric really nicely, take a ruler, any kind of ruler. I like to use a clear quilting one because I just find that they're the easiest to use. And what you're going to do is, which I have already done, as you can see this line right here, mark a 1/4 of an inch at the end of each band on both sides. You're going to mark a 1/4 of an inch. I used a disappearing ink pen. You can use pencil, is probably the easiest thing to find around your house. Just use a light mark, just dark enough so that you can see it. And what you're going to do after you mark those is we're going to fold there on that line and press it down on every end of the band pieces. So once you press the ends under, your pieces should look like this, with your ends just pressed 1/4 of an inch, sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. 1/4 of an inch under. As you can see, just listen to what I'm showing you and not what I'm actually saying. I'm so sorry. Okay, so your pieces should look like this now. And now what you're going to do is turn one of your pieces right side up, so your fabric is facing you, the right side of it, and you're going to put them on top of each other. However you'd like to do that. I mean, I don't know what print you prefer facing you or whichever side you like better. It doesn't really matter because the headband is going to be reversible in the end. So you want to face both the right sides of the fabric to each other. You're facing them to each other. And then what we're going to do is line it up all nicely and pin it and get ready to sew it. And once your headband is pinned, it should probably look something like this. You don't have to overly pin it, just place a pin every couple inches. Since one of the sides has interfacing on it, it stays kind of stiff. I don't think it should slip too much on you, especially since it's a cotton fabric, which is really nice and stable to sew with. So pin it at the ends, make sure your ends are lined up because that's really the most important part. And then just place a couple pins every couple inches or whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so for this project, I like to sew it with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So most sewing machines will have these little grid marks on here with the measurements next to it. And I am placing my fabric right up to the edge of the 3/8 mark, and I'm going to sew it right there. And try to keep it lined up as you go. So after you're done that step, it should look like this. You've got your seam allowance on both sides. That's about 3/8 of an inch. And now we're going to turn it inside out. How I like to do this, you can do this however you want to do. I will show you how I do it. I like to take a safety pin, and it's kind of hard to show you when I'm holding my phone with my other hand, but pin it to just one side of the headband. I'm not sure if you can see that, but pin it to one side like that. And then what you're going to do is turn the safety pin toward the inside. I can't do this one-handed. Okay, one second. Okay, you turn it to the inside, so now it's like poking in there, and you're gonna wiggle it down. Okay, so you wiggle it down through the headband, and you pull the excess fabric up as you do it, and it will be turning your headband inside out as you do that. So you do that all the way down to the end. Sorry for the extreme close-up on my scraped up fingers. Until you get to the end of that, and the safety pin pokes out the side. So pull the rest of the fabric out like that, and you can just, ta-da, it's inside out. Now once you've turned it right side out again, it's going to look kind of like this, and you need to press it really nicely, really flat, make it look how you want it to look like when it's your finished headband. So shape it with your fingers. I'm going to press it right now. Make sure you get the creases, the seams, pull them out as far as you can when you're pressing it so that it's all nice and flat. So now when your headband is all pressed nice and flat and it looks all pretty like that, you need to take your piece of 5.5 inch long elastic and your ruler and your pen or pencil, disappearing ink pen, whatever you like to use, and mark the ends of the elastic for 1/4 inch again, just like you did on your headband. You're going to mark the ends because what you're going to do when we're top stitching this, we're going to top stitch your headband right now just to make it nice and secure and pretty. You're going to slide this into the opening of your headband right there, just until that line that you drew is in there. That's where you're going to sew it. So you're going to top stitch starting at this end, go all the way down on your sewing machine, pin this right here. when you get a chance. I will do that when I have my other hand free. Pin that there so it doesn't move. So top stitch, go over here, reinforce this stitch, go across a couple times just to make sure it's really nice and tight and secure, and then go back up and top stitch this side, and then I'll show you the next step. So this is what it looks like when it's top stitched. I did it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You can just do whatever you feel like it. It's personal preference. I just like it just right against the edge right there. And then you stitch across there. I did it a couple times, as you can see, just to make sure this is not going anywhere. So now you're just going to fold your headband in half, and you're going to do the same exact thing with this end of the elastic. Slide it into that end of the headband right there and stitch across it a couple times. And once you sew that last piece of elastic end right there, your headband's done. It's all done. And it's super comfy and super easy to make, and they're a great project for anyone who just wants a simple sewing project or to do something with kids. They also make great party favors, birthday favors, things like that, because you can use so many different scraps of fabric, whatever you prefer to use. And also the elastic length, I use 5.5 because I found that that is the size that's most comfortable on the average human head. You can, of course, adjust that to be shorter or longer, whatever's more comfortable on you or whoever the headband is for. But 5.5 inches has been a safe bet, and I've made this many, many times. So I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial and have fun making your fancy headbands. Bye.